Good morning, fellow professionals. My name is Nina Schloegel, otherwise known as Coach Nina. And today I want to talk a little bit about career paths. I'll share a little bit about mine, and maybe there will be some ways to clarify what you enjoy and what fulfills you. Maybe even you'll discover what purpose you want to bring to the table. Now here's a question that's been asked time and time again. What do I want to be when I grow up? So, what do you want to be when you grow up? When you were young, you talked about being a superhero, fighter, ballerina living with Mickey Mouse. That's because your heart was open. You were young and the world was your oyster. There were so many possibilities out there. So much information coming in. Now that you're older, you're in transition and you're not exactly sure what's best for me. So maybe the better question is, what value do I want to bring to the table? Now, it can depend on if you want to work in a corporation. Are you an entrepreneur? What does that look like for you? What do you enjoy? The other question is, am I a walking resume? A resume is strictly facts about you, but does it really tell us who you are at core? What do you believe? What's important to you? These are all questions that can be asked of yourself, things to reflect on, and that's what's important. Many times questions have asked, I have been asked, is a degree important? Is experience, what is that? A degree depends on what career you've chosen, what path you're taking. If it's important to you, then get one. If it's not, let it be a part of the decision that you want. Because I'm finding that a lot of companies nowadays, they want both a degree and experience, or they want experience, and they're not really asking for a degree or a certain degree. It depends on what you want. For me, it was important, and that's what I chose to do. That was the path. That was part of the path. If you are just starting out and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do this, here's a little tip. 80% of college freshmen change their degree at least 3 times because you are in that transition. When you get older, you start hearing what your parents have done, what your cousins are doing, your siblings. So there are a lot of beliefs around what should be done. But what's important is what you want and what fulfills you. Because everyone has their own purpose. So 3 questions to ask yourself in this transition is, again, what do I enjoy doing? What fulfills me? And what are your core values and how do they play a part in every day? And what I mean by that, core values are what sits in your heart. What do you believe? For example, mine are faith, family, integrity, and honesty. Those are ones that I follow every day. That's what's gotten me this far. A mentor and a coach. Would those be a part of your journey? That would be up to you. Mentors are absolutely one of the biggest things that you can get for yourself, because the mentor is in the career that you want. So you'll find out a lot of information. What is the culture of that career? Having a mentor that's an entrepreneur that has built their business. How long did it take them to do this? What was the joys? There's so many questions, and it's always important to be curious. When you are not curious and you stop asking questions, you stop growing. That's one of my beliefs as well. Knowledge is power. In order for you to make an informed decision, it's good to have that, to have options. So getting a mentor who is in the career choice that you would like to look into would be very beneficial. Now, a coach, on the other hand, we are not here to fix or tell you what to do, but we're going to ask you, what do you want? And we're going to ask you, what does your journey look like? So those are some key tips on what could clarify this for you. Now with my path, I did change. I was one of the 80% that changed my mind at least 3 times. When I was in high school, I wanted to be an occupational therapist. So I had my plan all mapped out. I knew exactly what I was going to do. The one thing that I learned as not necessarily a mistake, it was more of a learning experience, was I didn't get a mentor. But when I finally got to the point where I could work in a hospital doctor's office for a month, I found that the medical profession was not for me because I took a lot home and it was too much. So I changed my degree from occupational therapy to my minor, which is business, and I went from there, and that's what fulfilled me. Now I've worked in 3 different areas. I worked for the financial industry, and my last job was with Merrill Lynch. Then I decided, okay, adult education. I went and I worked for Regis University for 8 years, and I learned so much. And that is when I learned about coaching. I was an advisor for students, on their career path, their educational path that they chose a certain degree. And it was introduced to me about certification in coaching. And I thought, what is that? What is it that, draws people to this? What's the difference between a psychologist and a coach? And is it the same? Is it a counselor? What is it? So when I found out, I found that I truly enjoyed watching clients after I got my certification. There are so many clients that I had that I'm so proud of today. One is now a lawyer. He's on the border in El Paso, Texas, and he's in immigration law. I have another gal who she was happy being the party girl. She was happy being a bartender. And then after working with her for a while, she said, I want more. She is now getting her master's in education. She's a special ed teacher, and she's teaching literacy to kids who need a little more help, that struggle. So there are so many joys. That's what fulfills me, watching people grow. Going from education, I then decided, well, what would it be like to work for the government? So I worked for the Department of Homeland Security for 3 or 4 years. And the biggest lesson I learned there was I began to hide who I was. I am coach, and that's what I enjoy doing. And of course, the environment is completely different. And I thought, well, I don't want to tell people too much about me. I will do what I'm told. And then after 3 or 4 years, I thought, no, something's not right. I feel off. And that was one of the biggest lessons I could have learned, denying who I am and what I brought to the table as coach. So I decided I'm going to take my business to the next level. And I've had some mentors along the way. I have wonderful, wonderful mentor coaches that I worked through, like coming through the certification process when I was at Regis University. I met many, many people who are master certified coaches, and they are my mentors. And they asked when I was working for the government, they said, what has changed about you? What is going on? Something's not right. You're not being authentic. It's true. I wasn't being authentic to myself. And that's what's sad. When you go inside and transform your whole life to something better and more effective, that's the power that comes out. That's the value you bring to people. It's not about bragging. It's not about saying I'm better than anyone. It's about being. Because being someone and doing what you do is 2 different things. So along the way, my core values, like I've said before, is faith, honesty, family, integrity, respect. I have at least 6 of them. But my number 1 is faith. And that is what has gotten me so far. because I truly believe in myself. And it took me a long time to get there. When I became a coach in 2010, well, it's been 10 years, let's say that. I am a completely different person. I stand in my power. I'm more direct. I'm more confident. The one thing that I still struggle with is my humility. And to be honest with you, creating this video was very hard because I like to show people, I like to model people how to be a leader. I don't want to brag about what I've done or where I've been, because it's not about that. And the three people that inspired me to this through my whole transition, there's three people. One is Mother Teresa, the second one is Princess Diana, and the third one is my grandfather. Mother Teresa, because she was so humble, she was called to do more for people that had less than her. And she was not a materialistic person. She didn't complain about what she was called to do. She did. She brought value to the people that had less than her. Princess Diana, it wasn't about the crown. She wasn't afraid to hold a child with AIDS. She wasn't afraid to touch the people that were sick. Her legacy will live on through her sons. She raised her two boys that it was about the people and not the crown. Yes, there's duties. Yes, there's a lot of expectations riding on the family. However, Princess Diana was so humble. She was camera shy. She wasn't thrilled about the cameras being in her face all the time and, who she was and the crown she wore. It wasn't about that. It was helping people. That was what she believed. With my grandfather, he was a very faithful man. He had a lot of integrity, and he lived with authenticity. And I'm sure that all three of these people, especially my grandfather, had a lot to learn as they were growing up. My grandfather had to learn how to, be in the military and then get married and have a family. These three people aren't perfect, but yet they inspired me because of their value. Not about who they were and they're famous people. It's not about that for me. There are a lot of things that I've learned along the way from them. The best thing about my grandfather, and something I'm still learning, is the willingness to forgive. Forgive people that have hurt him was huge he was my hero. So I know where I have been, and I know where I'm going. I don't let my past dictate who I am. I let it be a part of who I am and who I will become. Because I will not stop learning and growing. But again, think about those questions. What do you actually enjoy doing? Who are you? Who are you being when you're doing these actions? What value are you bringing to the table? Do people look up to you? Are you modeling the behaviors that you feel a leader is? I want to leave you with one last quote. One that I find absolutely amazing because I had never heard it before, and I'm surprised by the person that said it. Strive not to be a success, but to be of value. Albert Einstein said that. And if you really think about that, success is defined in so many ways. It's how you define it. But to be of value, that's where it is. If you have any questions, please email me or call me. I'd love to sit down and discuss your career path with you. Because it is about being who you are and bringing the value to the table. Again, my name is Nina Schloegel, Coach Nina, and I look forward to meeting you at some point. You have a wonderful day, and we will talk soon.